Good evening. Thank you for joining us again live on CBSN Minnesota. It's 8:30 right now. We continue to follow a hostage situation at a Wells Fargo bank in St. Cloud. In the last 30 minutes, a fourth person has been released from the bank. The FBI says other bank employees remain held inside this Wells Fargo branch on 33rd Avenue South. That's near Division Street in St. Cloud. This all began about 1:45 this afternoon, so it's been going on for a while. Our Jeff Wagner's been on the scene for a while as well, and he joins us with the latest. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Frank. You mentioned 4 hostages have been released. That law enforcement source telling us that there are 5 hostages total, and that kind of fits what we've been seeing as we look through the windows of the entrance here. If we can zoom in, ever since that 4th hostage was released, we've seen pretty much 2 people pacing, well, moving back and forth in front of that front entrance beyond the doorway, the person who appears to be the suspect, and then that 5th hostage. We've had several people here at the scene across the street tell us they maybe even recognize who that 5th hostage may be, an employee. As you mentioned, 4 hostages released. We've seen every single person. We've captured that on video going back for, over the past couple of hours. Each time a person is released, they come out sometimes with their hands up, and they are quickly whisked away to a white SUV by law enforcement and driven away from the scene. A crowd of onlookers here cheering every time. Uniquely, the first time a hostage was released, the person who appears to be the suspect then threw a wad of cash out the front door, but that was the only time that occurred. And as you mentioned, this has been going on since just about 1:45 now, those negotiations with St. Cloud Police, the FBI, and neighboring law enforcement all coming out to St. Cloud to help in this situation.
Jeff, it was taken when hostage 4 came out, and I saw it happen, and I don't know if you were actually there to see it, but this woman came out.
Frank, I might have lost you there. Give me a moment.
No worries, Jeff. I'll see if you can go ahead and dial in. Again, this is a live shot of what's going on at the bank branch in St. Cloud, the Wells Fargo branch, where Jeff is telling us that it appears that all that is left inside the bank is the hostage.
I got you, Frank. I got you.
Hostage taken one. So, Jeff, I was taken with hostage number 4 because, you imagine the trauma of, most people haven't been going to a bank because of the pandemic. These people are at the bank, and that woman was just bawling and very emotional from the moment her foot walked out the bank of that door. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's, from our vantage point, it's hard to read the emotion on the people's faces. They walk out, like I said, some with their arms up, some not. It's hard from where we are to gather how those people feel as they exit the building. For you to say that that person was in tears, we absolutely understand the trauma that they go through. Of course, these bank employees, I imagine, are trained and understand that this can happen. This is part of the job. However, we know this is a rarity, and the times that we have covered bank robberies, it's nothing more than you hear of a person passing a note to the teller, requesting money, and then we get the surveillance photos, and that's kind of how it progresses. For this to turn into a hostage situation, we're unaware what type of weapon this suspect has, but to be held in there against their will for 4 or 5 hours now has to be a traumatizing, difficult, tough experience. And then the release of being released once they're finally outside and in the safety of law enforcement, no longer captive in that building, has to be something else.
Yeah, well, you can see the relief and release all over her face, and it really captured kind of the drama of what's going on. Jeff, we're not going to show it right now because we're digging through it and we need to be sensitive in a situation like this, but we understand that the hostage taker may have used someone's phone to go live on Facebook for a while. Have you seen that Facebook live post, or have you heard about that?
I have heard about the post, and with our cameras we were able to see and zoom in through the window and see that the suspect was holding his phone, and it appeared as though we were wondering if he was on Facebook Live or if he was FaceTiming or if that was his way of communicating with law enforcement for the negotiations, if it was over the phone. But recently, yes, we have learned that the suspect may have been on Facebook Live, but no, I have not personally seen it yet.
Yeah. Either have I, and obviously we need to use some care before we, put that on our digital channel or over our airwaves as well. But wondering if you had heard that as well. I guess if there's any kind of silver lining to this is 4 people are safe and only 1 kind of remains in danger along with the hostage taker. Is that correct?
That's correct. And the thing we heard from the beginning from Wells Fargo, a spokesperson, was that no one was injured. And as we've seen the people exit the building, they don't appear to be walking out injured either. They're able to walk on their own 2 feet. They have their hands in the air. And other than being extremely emotional, as you saw from our cameras, everyone appears to be physically safe.
And I know that strip mall area is big there. There's a Bloomington Coat Factory and there's a Costco. This looks like it's turned into like a Thursday night gathering in St. Cloud.
I mean, yeah, we're going on how many hours now, and I'd say there's still a couple hundred people here. It is getting significantly colder out. It's starting to rain here and there, but this crowd is persisting, eager to clap and cheer every time another hostage is released. I think at the end of the day, they want to see this situation get resolved in a safe manner.
Jeff, what else am I not asking or are we not thinking about? Anything else that you can share with us?
We'd heard from people that this is a very busy bank on this corner at this intersection. So many are surprised to hear that there might not have been any customers in there at the time, or at least that customers weren't taken hostage, because we've run into a couple people who are, or at least have family members who are customers here. They've been telling us that, oh, that's a huge bank. There's at least, 10 employees plus. There's the whole back section where you have the bankers who are helping people with their mortgages. So to hear that there's potentially just 5 hostages involved in this whole situation, somewhat a relief in there that there's not more people involved. And then the fact that, according to law enforcement, according to Wells Fargo officials, there's no customers that were held hostage. So it must have just been the right time for the people who either just left or were on their way in and did not get involved in this situation.
Yeah, that is good. And I don't know what Wells Fargo's rules are, if they vary branch by branch, but my bank, I couldn't go to my bank up until about 4 days ago without calling ahead and asking them if I could come by. So, because of the pandemic. So maybe that's a blessing in disguise for the number of people that were there.
It could be, a lot of people may be taking up the drive-through instead of passing through inside, and that could have impacted this situation on the number of people that were in there. I know for me personally, I have been into a bank within the last few months, but I'm not a Wells Fargo customer, so I can't speak to how the things are operating at this specific location.
Jeff, we'll check with you a little bit later. We appreciate the updates. 4 people now, according to Jeff, released from the Wells Fargo Bank in St. Cloud. The hostage taker remains inside the bank, as does 1 hostage, from what we have been told. So we'll continue to update this on WCCO.com, CBSN Minnesota, all our social channels, and of course on our news tonight at 10.